For all of you fans and media who think tanking is the greatest thing, that's exactly why you don't tank. What's up, everybody? Player to be named later. I'm G-Man. I know it's been a couple of weeks, probably actually closer to 3 weeks. I've been on my back, sick. Energy was crazy low. I honestly haven't been sick like that in a few years, but just good to get back on camera, talk about some sports. A lot's happened in the last 3 weeks, like a lot. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to go through. The Four Nations wrapped up with a lot of patriotism involved between Canada and the US. Obviously, Canada came out with the win. It was never in doubt. The Americans like to talk a lot about how they've leveled up and we're ready to take over. That couldn't be farther from the truth. The fact of the matter is they're just not ready to win the big game yet. And hey, that's not a knock on them. Their development system is amazing. You see how deep their team is, but Canada still produces the stars. And at the end of the day, they came through when it mattered most. Connor McDavid with the winner in overtime to defeat the Americans. And like I said, it came at a really good time in terms of patriotism. I'm not here to say that Canada's in the best position, but considering what's going on in America, I'd much rather be here. I'm proud of Canada for sticking up for itself. I'm not the biggest Justin Trudeau fan. I'm actually not the biggest fan of any politician in Canada or America right now. But I am glad and I am happy the way Canada stuck up for itself, regardless of what this means in terms of the economy. But I'm gonna try and stay away from the politics too much, get back to the sports. But yeah, I thought the Four Nations was exciting. I really like the format. I think the other major sports can learn a lot from what the NHL did with the Four Nations, especially when you look at NBA All-Star Weekend and what a joke it's become. And you know, and even in terms of the NBA, Stephen A. Smith said last week that the NBA needs an American-born player to really carry and be the face of the league. Again, another asinine statement. As much as I like Stephen A. Smith, just a crazy statement. I mean, the best player in the league right now, Canadian. Sorry, Stephen A. Smith. SGA, obviously the best player in the league today. He's doing things that are just unreal, really, for his team and, you know, for the league, really, when you think about globally how much the game has expanded. And you look at the MVPs coming out of the NBA the last few years, obviously Nikola Jokic, now SGA, Giannis, that guy, whatever, Joel Embiid. I don't know if he's American or if he's from Cameroon or if he plays for France, who knows, but he's a whole other topic in discussion. Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that the NBA needs an American-born player to be the face of the league and to carry the league. Really, it's the American media's fault for where the league is at right now, if you ask me, in terms of what's going on and the health of the game and how it's being played. Because all they wanted to do was focus on their players. All they wanted to do was focus on LeBron, focus on Steph, focus on KD. And I'm not saying those guys aren't worthy of that praise and that media attention, but when you just write off the Toronto Raptors as some forgotten team and who cares about the Raptors or who cares about international players, this is what you get. Everyone just wants to see what those guys do, how they play. And now that they're falling off and now that they're getting older and have to pass the torch on, you don't have the same interest in players like SGA and Giannis and Nikola Jokic and even Luka Doncic. The way they're looked at as, you know, you look at Luka and Nikola Jokic right now, you know, everyone talks about their commitment to being in shape and how they play the game and how they view the game, yet there they are dominating. I think the Lakers are in prime position to do something really, really good in the Western Conference this year. So, I don't necessarily agree with Stephen A. Smith's comment. I think the NBA, as long as the media and the fans actually embrace other players who can be the face of the league, like SGA, like Giannis, like Luka Doncic, then the league will be just fine. Internationally, I believe the NBA is in good position, but in America, they look at it differently because they don't want to give credit, and they don't want to put a guy like Jason Tatum, for example, up in that echelon. And I don't know why. He's a quiet superstar, amazing player. But yeah, I believe a lot of that is on the American media, ESPN, a lot of the talking heads, the analysts, the experts. All they've ever wanted to do was talk about LeBron, watch LeBron. You see it on NBA Today. All they do mostly is cover LeBron, cover Steph, cover KD. Their American teams, they barely say anything about the Raptors. I think that's a good segue into what my Toronto Raptors are doing right now. And even with the media up here in Toronto, the way they view the Raptors, there's a lot of flip-flopping going on right now. And I'm not surprised. You have so-called experts up here like Josh Lewenberg who have been very critical of Masai Ujiri. Like, let's not forget, Masai Ujiri built an NBA championship team with no lottery picks on his squad, with not one player coming from the lottery. That's never been done before. So this notion of they had to acquire draft picks and get young and lose for a few years was just totally stupid. And anyone who listened to guys like Josh Lewenberg and at times Michael Grange, who likes to flip-flop, I think it's I don't even know what to say about fans or other media who took to those narratives, because Masai, Bobby, Dan Tolzman, they know exactly what they're doing in that front office. And after the Brandon Ingram trade, you've seen the Raptors. Yeah, they've been a little bit inconsistent. They lost a couple of games, but then last night they really showed you what they could be about playing Phoenix. And Phoenix is not a world beater by any means, but they have three guys who can literally beat you on any given night alone. And I think the Raptors have done an amazing job turning around their defensive schemes this year. They looked really bad at one point in the year, but you look at a team like the Knicks, they've been giving up huge numbers. Teams, they just gave up 140 to Cleveland the other night. They're going downhill very quickly. They gave up 5 picks for Mikal Bridges. People want to talk about Masai Ujiri. If he ever gave up 5 picks for Brandon Ingram, geez, this fan base, this media would go absolutely berserk. The way he's rebuilt this team on the fly. Everyone talks about OKC, but they seem to forget that OKC hit on a couple of drafts, but the reason their team is 46-10 or whatever it is. Let's see here. They beat Minnesota last night. Yeah, 46-10. Shea was acquired. Alex Caruso acquired. Hardenstein acquired. They hit on the draft with Jalen Williams, with Chet Holmgren. They drafted Josh Giddey. He's out of there already, been traded. Isaiah Joe acquired. Aaron Wiggins drafted. Lou Dort undrafted. So it has to be a combination of both. The reason why OKC gets so much respect, and as they should, Sam Presti's done an amazing job, is because they fleeced teams at a time when everyone wanted to build a super team and thought it was, the way towards a championship. And he took advantage of that, especially the Clippers and their dumb management for what they gave up for Paul George, an absolute joke. And OKC took advantage of that. And after that happened, after a couple of years, there was no team, other than the Knicks, obviously, who was going to do that. And you look at a team like Utah. Utah's been tanking now for a couple of years. What has it gotten them? Everyone wants the Raptors to tank. Utah, where are they at? Even Philly, going back to their tanking days, look at them right now. In an absolute, such a horrible position. Paul George just went there for the money, but he doesn't really care. Joel Embiid is about to shut down. He doesn't really care because he came into the league in, the whole process tanking. Ben Simmons gone. Tyrese Maxey, luckily they have him, but look at his attitude this year. I feel so sorry for that guy. He's such a good player and actually a really good human, and he has to sit through playing with that team of losers, basically. They don't care about winning in Philly, I'm sorry to say. Luckily they have McCain that will come back healthy next year, and they can be a good duo together. But who knows what Philly's gonna do. On top of that, if anyone's been paying attention to what Cooper Flag said in an interview last week, that he actually might go back to Duke. So for all of you fans and media who think tanking is the greatest thing, that's exactly why you don't tank. So I think the Raptors are in such a good position. To me, yesterday, they showed what they are actually all about, what they could be. I think their team was an anomaly this year. What happened to them with the injuries and the schedule at the start of the season, I think right now actually shows what the team could be. And that was without B.I. and Jakob Poeltl last night. I still think because of the early season struggles that they had, they'll still end up with a relatively good pick. But based on how Masai and Bobby Webster and Dan Tolzman hit on the draft, especially last season with Jacoby Walter, who's still only 19 years old, Jamal Shed, Jonathan Mobo, Jamison Battle. I've said this before, I'll keep saying it again. 4 rotation guys that, if you've been watching the team all year, those aren't just throwaway players that are end of the bench guys. These are solid rotation pieces who've contributed a lot this year. And I haven't even talked about Grady yet. Or Ochai Agbaji, who is another, secret 3-and-D that they can really rely on. So, yeah, I'm all for getting a good draft pick this year. If somehow they can add a Cooper Flag, because where I think they still need to match up against the top teams in the East, particularly Cleveland, is Evan Mobley. I think Evan Mobley is a problem, but I think everywhere else across the board in the East, the Raptors match up pretty well. You look at Detroit right now, 31-26. Why? Because they stopped tanking. They added veterans around Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, Malik Beasley, Tobias Harris. You had some veterans. You had a coach who actually cares, and suddenly they're in a good playoff position. Indiana is what it is. Milwaukee with Giannis and Dame are a 5 seed. So it's really open for the Raptors next year. Like I said, add another, hit on the draft this season, wherever they end up drafting. But obviously I'm still with my original position of doing the ethical tank, not necessarily going for the play-in, but you can't promote losing within your squad. And you want the team to develop, and you're seeing that now. Scotty is learning where he can have the most impact on a game from a game-to-game kind of point of view. You look at RJ, Emmanuel quickly, they're all kind of, sliding into their roles and seeing where they have the most impact. Most likely next season, Grady comes off the bench because B.I. is going to come into the starting lineup, have Jakob in the starting lineup. But they need to add some length. Obviously, they need a stretch 5. That's why I keep harping on a guy like Ace Bailey. But, then you look at Chris Boucher and what he's done this season. I think it's imperative that the Raptors keep him. You look at how much talent the team has, maybe future draft picks or one guy, and, you get that stretch 5 that you're looking for, maybe someone like Miles Turner or an Obi Toppin. You know, there's probably some other players out there next season that the Raptors could look to acquire that will put them in that, 45 to 50 win range. And, say what you want. Any, fans are going to probably laugh at that, but I think this team is capable of that as long as they can lock down this defense that they've been playing the last month or so. Things are looking good for the Raptors. And again, I want to talk about the tanking. Lauri Markkanen said it in Utah. He hates playing for a team that always tanks, and that's exactly where he is right now. Maybe you put a package together for someone like him or Walker Kessler. Can you imagine Lauri Markkanen on the Raptors? And if the Raptors, even if they had to give, I would give 2 number ones for Lauri Markkanen, and if they had to give up someone at the end of the bench, or who knows what they would have to give for a package for Lauri Markkanen or Walker Kessler. It's someone like that you need to add to the team that can, match up with a guy like Evan Mobley, because that's probably the one guy for me right now where the Raptors are lacking. Even a team like Boston, they're getting older, but I think the Raptors would match up well with them as well. They obviously have 2, players that can win you a game at any point in time, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But after that, they're kind of getting long in the tooth as well. Drew Holiday's, up there, Al Horford up there, Kristaps, obviously he's, not necessarily old, but, he's someone that can, if we have the length, we can match up well against also. I like the direction of where this team is headed. Looking forward to that. You look in the West, what's going on with the Lakers. A lot of, again, people had a lot to say about JJ Redick and the job he was going to do with LA. Look where they stand. What are they? 34-21. Did a masterful job against Denver the other night in Denver. Really held Nikola Jokic to, I think he only took 7 shots, and he just looked out of sorts all night. The way the Lakers played physical with him, he couldn't turn around and not get bumped. JJ really knows how to draw up some game plans, and he has obviously good coaches around him that are helping him there as well. So a big salute to JJ Redick and the job he's doing for the Lakers. A lot of people doubted him. A lot of people just looked at it as, oh, you're only in there because you're LeBron's boy from his podcast. And, you have to give credit where credit's due. These are lifers in basketball, in the NBA. You don't just dismiss that and say, oh, you're only there because of LeBron. Well, that's the case for a lot of people in a lot of positions, and not only basketball, but in all sports, in corporate America, so shout out to JJ Redick. And I think the NBA right now is, it's wide open. OKC and Memphis are going to have a lot to say in the West. A lot of people still doubting OKC, but I think SGA can really put that team on his back and take them far. They got some length now with Hartenstein and Holmgren back. I think that's a good duo to compete in the West. Houston is I think Houston is where OKC was last year. So I think, they probably need another year to see where they won. And that's not necessarily a given of anything. Clippers are what they are. Minnesota, a team I would look out for is Dallas once AD gets healthy. They get Gafford back, they get Lively back. Those 3 guys, 7-footers, with the talent they have with Kyrie, I think they're a team to watch for. And of course, you can never count out Golden State with Steph. Jimmy Butler's a big game player. Kuminga's been hurt. If he comes back healthy, that's definitely a team I would look to make some noise in the playoffs also. Yeah, the NBA is, now it's going to finally get interesting. People are worried about, the health of the game, but I think we're going to see now as the playoffs near and things start getting exciting again, that things are going to ramp up and will look good for the playoffs. Yeah, guys, that's it for kind of the NBA. I know I threw in a little bit of political stuff there. I'm going to talk a little bit. I just wanted to say thanks for watching. Finally, after being sick, I'll be coming back with the videos, and hopefully people are spreading the word. My followers aren't going up, so spread the word. But I do thank everyone who is watching me faithfully. Please continue to watch, support, send me comments, send me questions. If I can cover certain topics, I will. There are a few segments that I need to get to, but I haven't really got around to for certain reasons, but I will in the near future. Catch me on TikTok, on YouTube, and thanks for watching. See you on the next one, guys.